the transformational is what I want to say, presentation that you've ever seen. I mean, the room was hot with temperature. It was exciting. It was electric. Oh my God. When we come back through there, you got to make sure that you get on the next call. Fair enough? Awesome, awesome. We're going to launch our call in just a few more minutes. We want to give everybody an opportunity to push away from their desk and kind of steal away so that they can get some quiet time to get on the call. In the meantime, for those of you who haven't already, feel free to introduce yourselves. Tell us where you're calling in from, but then kindly mute your lines that we might keep the background noise to a minimum. Who else is joining us so far? Awesome sauce. So listen, it's 12:03. We're going to launch in approximately 60 seconds. Last call, ladies and gentlemen. If you haven't already, we want to hear from you. We want to hear who you are, where you're calling in from. Just do me a huge favor. Kindly mute out your lines that we might keep the background noise to a minimum. Who else is joining us?
Let them know today is Friday. Today is no joke. We can pull the wheels off today.
Who is that? La Haney, Las Vegas. Awesome. I heard somebody else in the background. Who else was out there? Brooklyn is in the house. Okay then. Who else is out there? What's up, Adrian from Florida? We appreciate you dialing in, my man. Did I miss it? Oh, we got Adrian and Alton. These are two of my new business partners. These guys are building a national footprint. Only been in business just a few days and already pushing beyond the boundaries of their respective cities. Hats off to you, gentlemen. Thank you for joining our call today. We're going to have a few hundred people between our conference call here and Facebook Live. What's up, Facebook family? So we appreciate you guys dialing in. We're going to launch this call in approximately 35, 40 seconds. In the meantime, if you haven't already, feel free to introduce yourselves. Tell us where you're calling in from, and then kindly mute your lines that we might keep the background noise to a minimum. Who else is on the line?
And we got Minnesota on Facebook. We got San Diego checking in.
What's happening, everybody? We got a couple of people on Facebook Live tuning in. We appreciate you guys.
Louisville. We got Andre from Maryland. Mariko.
Andre from Maryland. Mariko.
Monica from New Jersey.
Monica from New Jersey.
We got Cheryl. We got Joyce from Minnesota.
Joyce from Minnesota. Yeah.
Mark from Florida. They are pouring in.
Wow. So we must be doing something right, Maestro. I don't know.
Something.
Look. We want you guys to know that we have made financial freedom accessible. And so if you ever, in the course of your life, endeavor to do something different so that you could live the life that you used to dream about when you were a kid on the playground, I think we've been able to finalize or formulate or design a plan, a strategy, so that everyone can win. We've been able to help corporate attorneys make million-dollar incomes. You're going to hear from one this afternoon. We've been able to help bus drivers make million-dollar incomes. We've been able to help people fresh out of the penitentiary become financially independent. And I would imagine between an upper echelon corporate attorney and somebody fresh out of the pen, you fall somewhere in between. So if we can help the most extreme of the spectrum, then certainly we can help you. The only thing you've got to decide is you've got to decide to believe you deserve it, and you've got to decide to believe you can have it, and the rest is soon to come. And so with that being said, we're going to officially launch our call, so please stand by. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Ray Hendrickson, and I am a national director with this awesome and incredible business opportunity through a company called 5 Links. I represent Team Power. At the helm, you have Diamond Senior Vice President Tupac, the chairman of the board, the Rent-A-Corps, and Team TNT. At the helm, you have the illustrious BET corporate attorney turned millionaire and best-selling author, my good friend Thomas the Maestro Felder. And so today, ladies and gentlemen, is Freedom Friday. Freedom Friday, we take a little bit of extra time to impart some motivation, some inspiration, and some education, because we want everybody to know that this life is completely and utterly up to you. You get to write whatever chapter that you want. You get to change the variables. You get to determine who the superstars in the story are going to be, who the heroines are going to be, who the heroes, who the villains are going to be, and you get to determine if it's a happy ending. And if it isn't, it's only going to be because you gave your pen and your paper to someone else to develop your story for you. In the grand scheme of things, you were born free, and you were born alone, and you were born with every resource, every ability, every skill set, every talent. You've been born with each and every personal power for you to kind of create whatever environment you want to create. And so today we're going to talk to you about that. I'm excited to be on the phone just to give you just a little bit of information about myself. I'm going to give you a little bit of information relative to my experience with the company, and then I'm going to give you a couple of recommendations, and I'm going to turn the call over to probably the wealthiest person that you'll meet in the next calendar year. So, my name is Ray Hendrickson. I was born and raised in New York City. My family come by way of the Caribbean. You're talking about Jamaica, St. Croix, Antigua, Tortola, Puerto Rico, and even Cuba, all rolled up into this nice, neat package. All of my friends, family members, all of the people that I look up to, the history that I come from, comes from another place. And so they voluntarily came to this country for the sake of a single solitary concept that is very intangible, but it is a motivating force, the likes that most of us have never seen. It's called opportunity. Opportunity compels people to leave their homeland, to leave their friends, to leave their families, to leave their houses, to leave inheritances, to brave a journey, sometimes over perilous waves, sometimes digging under tunnels, sometimes dodging bullets across the border to get to the United States for one single solitary concept called opportunity. And people come to this country not for the sake of a guarantee. They just want a chance. They just want a shot. Isn't that why we fight so hard? We all simply want a shot. So my grandparents did the same thing that some of your grandparents have done. And they fought their way into this country because they thought that the streets were paved with gold. They thought that this was the place of milk and honey. They thought that this was a place that would afford them the level of prosperity that was somehow too elusive in their home country. What I find very interesting is that the same people who come from other places, especially the Caribbean, to the United States, once they start making money, they go vacation where they came from. So it's kind of oxymoronic, but nevertheless, this is the society in which we live. And so my grandparents came, and in stereotypical Caribbean fashion, my grandfather had two jobs. During the day, he was a bricklayer. At night, he was the superintendent of the building. And so when you had a leaky faucet or when the door creaked just a little too much for your good tastes, you would call him. He worked 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, 366 in the leap year, because he thought if you could work really, really hard, you could make your dreams come true. How many of you have ever heard that? If you work really, really hard, you could make your dreams come true. Well, here's what I thought. If all you had to do was work really, really hard to make your dreams come true, he could have stayed in Jamaica. But he came to this country because working really, really hard was just not enough. And so he was taught a formula when he got here. They said if you work really, really hard and you add education, you could find a good job, you'll make lots of money, and you'd be successful. And so because my grandfather, when he came here, was already senior, he thought that the 4 children he had, he could pass that winning formula along to them and they would be successful. Now, let me ask you a question. Would you work the rest of your life doing all kinds of manual labor or tedious jobs so that your children would never have to do that? Because that's how our grandparents were raised. They came to this country not for the sake of themselves, perhaps, being super prosperous, but so their children could be prosperous. You know what that's called? Legacy. Do you know rich people think 3 generations out, while hardworking broke people like me focus on Friday night? My grandfather thought like a wealthy person. He said, I'm going to sacrifice all that I currently have so that hopefully my children will have more than I have. And so learning that idea from my grandfather stayed with me. But when my mom came around, one of 4 children, 2 girls, 2 boys, she was the youngest of the girls, my grandfather imparted on her strong work ethic, but the formula that he thought would help her become prosperous. He taught her, you got to go to school, you got to get a good education, you'll find a good job, you'll make lots of money, and you'll be successful. And so my mom took off running because she was the hope and the dream of her parents. Along the way, as she made her way through life, she fell in love. Ladies, you know what it's like to fall in love, don't you? My mom was a true romantic, and she thought love was going to answer all the concerns. Love was going to make ends meet. Love was going to make a house a home. Y'all know all of these popular songs. Turns out that my dad wasn't really in love. He was in like. So my mom had 2 of his children, and he disappeared into the horizon, never to be seen again. So now my mom had a stark reality. Here she is in the South Bronx, at a point when the South Bronx was the murder capital of the United States, raising 2 brown children in the projects. She had to change everything she thought. So she decided to put us first, but by putting us first, she had to go to work more frequently. So by the time we woke up in the morning, she was already gone. And she'd come home long after we were home from school. She would design it so that she would cook all weekend so that we would have Tupperware lined up in the refrigerator, and all we had to do was mix and match the colors. For some of you who are a little older, 40 or more, you know what Tupperware is. And so she would stack the Tupperware in the refrigerator, and we would get home, there'd be a list. Take this color out, take that color out, take that color out, put it in the cast iron pot before microwaves, heat it up, and eat it. But make sure you get your homework done. She would call us around 5 o'clock when she was leaving work to make sure we were all right, and that's how we grew up. Growing up in the projects, ladies and gentlemen, is a little bit tumultuous. I don't mind saying it. I can't tell you, being in the murder capital of the United States, it forces you into a paradigm of survival. When a normal kid is worrying about getting home when the sun goes down because he's been playing all day, I got to worry about how do I get from the lobby to my apartment without getting robbed or molested in the staircase. Y'all ain't ready for this. This is the reality that many of us had to deal with growing up. Stepping over urine-infested staircases as you climb the stairs, or trying to climb the staircase with the light on because you're afraid of going up the staircase in the dark because you don't know who's waiting for you when you turn the corner. Stepping over somebody who drank too much earlier that day and now they're collapsed in the staircase. You got to climb over them, hopefully without poking the bear. Now, once you made it up, you got to worry about whether or not your sister is going to make it up the stairs or mama is going to make it up the stairs. Growing up in the South Bronx is an experience that I would never wish on anyone else or their children. So even at a very young age, I made the decision to give up the concrete and glass for trees and grass, so that when my children came along, I would never have to worry about their safety because they'd be playing in their own backyards. They wouldn't have to worry about falling and ripping their knee open because there's concrete and asphalt and broken bottles. If they fell, they would fall on a beautifully matted carpet of luxurious greenery called grass. So I said to my mom, Mom, how do I go further? How do I go farther? How do I do more? How do I accomplish? How do I achieve? And you know what she said? Probably the sweetest formula I've ever heard her give me relative to success. She said, son, you got to work really, really hard to make your dreams come true. And if you're willing to go to school, get a good education, you'll find a good job. You'll make lots of money and you'll be successful. And I thought, if that's all I got to do, that's a cheap price. Here it is. I watch my mom get up in the morning. She goes out the house. She works all day. She comes home. She's exhausted. She kisses us good night. We go to bed and we do it over and over and over. I have never been on vacation as a child. Vacation for us was a 3-day weekend and we would go to Bear Mountain. For those of you who are in New York, you know what Bear Mountain is, or Orchard Beach. Orchard Beach was the regular Jones Beach. That was a huge step up. We were like the Jeffersons when you drove out to Long Island to Jones Beach. It was a lot more cleaner. It had less syringes in the water. It had less trash floating up onto the shore. Bear Mountain and Orchard Beach. And every now and then, we would go to Six Flags or Great Adventures when I was a kid. And we would do that because we had a high school junior trip. This is my life. And so if my mom said this is all I had to do to move out of the hood, man, I couldn't wait to do it. So I went to one of the top 3 public schools in the nation. For those of you who are in the on the East Coast or in the Northeast corridor of the United States, it was Brooklyn Technical High School. You got to take a test to get into school. I was a pretty smart kid, thank God. So I got into the school. Graduated from the school, went off to the Marine Corps because they were looking for a few good men. I knew I qualified. I was one of the few African Americans in my platoon to have the opportunity to have a top secret security status. You like that, right? Did my time in the Marine Corps, went off to a historically black university in Richmond, Virginia, studying not one but 2 majors, physics and engineering. Now you might be asking, what are you doing all these things for? Because mama said. I mean, my mama used to say, remember that song? Mama used to say, go to school, get a good education, you'll get a good job, you'll make lots of money, be successful. So the things that I did prior to going out into corporate America, I thought would leverage my ability to get a job so that I wanted to be more credentialed, more qualified, more prepared than all my counterparts. When I got back home, I had over $20,000 in debt, and that was at a time when 20 grand was an awful lot of money. 20 grand now is like weekly allowance. Nowadays, children are graduating from school with $50 and $100 and $150,000 in debt. How do you send a child out to conquer the world when you put a giant gorilla on his back first? Needless to say, I'm back in New York. I'm knocking on all these corporate American doors. I'm ready to make $1 out of 15 cents. I'm ready to make my mark. I was going to shoot to the top of corporate American high society. I was going to be the first black CEO of this company or the first black CEO of that company, or somebody is responsible over this bunch of things and somebody who's responsible for over that bunch of things. And I was ready. I was invincible. I was big. I was bad. I was credentialed. I had a suit on. I mean, I was sure enough sugar sharp. Let me tell you what I kept hearing. Son, you got a great looking resume. Look at all of these magnificent things you've accomplished. You just don't have any experience. We can't give you this 6-figure job with the corner office with your dame on the door. You don't have any experience. No, let me ask you a commonsensical question. If I don't have the experience to get the job, and you won't give me the job, then explain exactly how I'm supposed to get the experience that I need to get the job, but you won't give me because I don't have any experience. How exactly is that supposed to work? And when you hear that enough, all of the wind gets yanked right out of your sails. But I still got $20,000 in debt. I still got to live somewhere that's not roach infested, and I still try to eat 3 times a day. Surely you enjoy eating 3 square ones. So what do? I'm going to tell you what you do. You take a job for a while. Have you ever done that? I talk to hundreds of people on a weekly basis. Most of them, 95% or more, don't work in their field of study, and they don't work their dream job. They don't earn their dream income. So now if 78% statistically, as per the government, never find a job in their field of study, isn't that the way the government admits that I just wasted my time and money? I took this temporary job and I figured I'd be there 6 months, 12 months, maybe 18 months. I'd get the experience, then I'd go back. And as is customary, that 6 months turned into 7.5 years. For some of us, that 6 months turns into 17 years or 27 years or an entire career. And then when you're at your 25th annual anniversary, when you're at the 25th year mark, you look back and you go, I gave you all my life. I helped build this company into a magnificent success. And all you're going to give me is a watch? Come on. How did I get here? When you look back over the tunnel of time, is that the plan you had in your brain? Are you where you want to be today? If you look back over the last 5, 10, 15, 20 plus years, is this the plan that you had? Is this the place that you anticipated you'd be 20 years later? Because that's the position that I was in. I got laid off 3 or 4 times, got sick and tired of being sick and tired, and I started looking for opportunity. And something spectacular happens. When you avail yourself to opportunity, it more often than not shows up. So on September 23rd, 2013, a friend of mine called me on the phone and he asked me a question that I had no idea would change the course of my life. He said, Ray, do you still keep your eyes open for opportunity to make additional income? And because it was a friend of mine, somebody that I loved, I trusted, I admired, I respected, I said, sure, why not? He got me on a phone call just like this. I can't remember the day. It might have been a Monday. It might have been a Tuesday. It might have been a Winning Wednesday, a Tenacious Thursday, or a Freedom Friday. All I could tell you is that there were a group of people from all over the country who were excited about being on the phone. And I said, what kind of foolishness is this? Folks are hollering and screaming, excited about a business opportunity. I just wanted to know what the hubbub was about. They started talking to me about a business opportunity through a company called 5 Links. 5 what? 5 Links. 5 Links. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Links. Well, what does the 5 stand for? These are the kind of questions that I had. Vision, opportunity, integrity, freedom, and success. 5 key principles. Now, here's why that resonated with me. Because on my mission statement, I have those same principles. And I was taught in the Marine Corps, if you don't have a mission statement, you're not on a mission. And if you're not on a mission, you'll fail 100% of the time. I was able to pick that up along the way. So I couldn't find any other place that had the very same principles in their mission statement as I had in mine. So that was strike 2. First, my friend told me about it. That made a big deal. Then they had the same principles for success in their mission statement. That made a big deal. I couldn't find all 5 anywhere. And then I started to learn about 5 Links. If you're hearing about this for the first time, fret not, because we're at the same position. I was starting from zero. It was foreign to me completely. But here's what my preliminary research discovered. Did you know 5 Links was a $162 million debt-free company today? Did you know they were governance sanctioned by the Federal Trade Commission in good standing? Do you know they have an A+ credit rating with the Better Business Bureau? Do you know they've been featured in just about every major business magazine that comes across the newsstand, to include Wall Street Journal, MSNBC News, Success from Home magazine 4 times. What's the other one? Your Business at Home magazine 4 times. Inc. 500, 5,000, a record splintering 9 consecutive times. Only other company on North American soil that has done that is Microsoft. Pretty good, right? A+ credit rating with the Better Business Bureau. That spoke volumes. Inc. 500, which is the sister magazine to Fortune 500, spoke volumes. #1 corporate business entity in Rochester, New York, which is the 3rd largest corporate headquarters on the northeast corridor of the United States, beating out companies like Xerox, Paychex, and Bausch & Lomb. This company was a juggernaut in the industry of network marketing. Now, you might be thinking, oh, network marketing, I'm not doing that. But let me just explain something to you, something that I had to learn. Network marketing has created more millionaires than any other industry in the history of the world. That means it's created more millionaires than the industry that you currently work in. Did you know the last 10,000 millionaires came out of this industry? And it is forecasted that the next 10,000 millionaires are going to come out of this industry in the next 5 to 7 years? How many millionaires are coming out of your industry? And are you pegged to be one of them? I could tell you, when I did sales, when I did engineering in an engineering capacity, wasn't no millionaires being made. So I knew that my best opportunity to become financially independent wouldn't be in sales. And it certainly wouldn't be in engineering. It would be in network marketing. And the reason why network marketing works is because it's based on divine principles. If I had time, I'd tell you. If I had time, I would tell you that residual income is not a man-made innovation. It comes from... If I had time to tell you, I would tell you that leverage is not a man-made innovation. It comes from, and because it comes from, it's got to work irrespective of what you believe religiously. Look, let me give you an example. Do you know when heaven created the fowl of the air and the fish of the sea and the beasts of the field and the plants, they all had the seed within it so that it's self-perpetuating? You know what that's called? Residual. There are very few things in creation that are not residual. Your income is one of them. And the reason why we struggle all the time is because our income is not residual. All of the major, if not most of the major characters of the scriptures were financially independent. You ever wonder about that? Now, when you talk about leverage, let me show you how awesome leverage is. There was a guy named Jesus. He told 12 people to tell 12 other people. The 12 became 24. The 24 became 48. 48 became 96. By Acts chapter 3, it's 3,000. By Acts chapter 4 and 5, it's 5,000. They stopped counting. 2,000 years later, 3 billion people believe that Jesus Christ is the Son of God because of leverage. And do you know residual income and leverage is how everybody in the history of humanity has created generational wealth so that their children's children would never have to worry about money. So now the reason why you and I can't get ahead is because nobody ever taught us how to earn residual income and how to implement leverage. Meanwhile, they teach you go to school, get an education to get a job which doesn't pay residual income so that the person responsible for your job can be on a golf course Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday because he earns residual income because of your linear income. Do you see how this works? So now the moment I heard and learned that, I wanted to know how I could implement it. Because Michael Jackson made more money last year than in any single year he was alive. How does a dead guy out-earn everybody in your family tree? From the grave? Decomposing? Residual income. The Astors are still wealthy. The DuPonts are still wealthy. The Kennedys are still wealthy. The Carnegies are still wealthy. But you and I are trying to figure out how to rub 2 nickels together to make $1 out of 15 cents. I mean, really? It's just a matter of what you've learned. So I came to tell you today that the formula we've been given doesn't work at all. And that's why everybody that you and I know don't have their dream lifestyle, don't earn their dream income, and doesn't live in their dream house. Because they've all been taught, go to school, get an education, to get a job, you make a lot of money, be successful. Challenge number 1. If I'm the employer and you're the employee, isn't it my best interest to make sure I get as much work out of you for as little as possible? And if you're the employee and I'm the employer, is it in your best interest to do as little as work and get as paid as much as possible? So from the very beginning of our relationship, we have a conflict of interest. You didn't come to work for me to make me wealthy. You came to pay some bills and finance your lifestyle. I, on the other hand, hired you not to finance your lifestyle, but to make me wealthy. And because I hire you, I'm going to pay you on average 3 to 10 cents for every dollar you make me. That means every hour you work, I earn 90 to 97% of whatever you produce. So you finance the corporate jet. You finance my villa in Sanguilla. I appreciate you. But if that's what your objective is, you're following the wrong formula. And so I just want you to know that this idea of residual income and leverage will work for everybody. And 5 Links has given me access to it. So let me just explain to you that over the next few minutes exactly how it works. 5 Links Enterprises partnered with all the major players in these 8 industries: cable, internet, home phone, cell phone, gas, electricity, home heating oil, and health insurance. Why? Because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or 8 of those services, everybody has to have. And because everybody has to have it, that means you can't live without it. And if you can't live without it, that means you're going to pay these bills for the rest of your life. If you pay these bills for the rest of your life, irrespective of what happens in the national economy or in your own personal economy, you've created an income stream that is perpetual. It is residual. You pay these bills over the last 20 years. You're going to pay these bills over the next 20 years. The money is already being generated. You are paying these bills and somebody's already getting paid from these bills. And so we recognize that if we can partner with major players in these industries, since the income stream is already established, you can step into the income stream and take as much of it home as you want. You can take a thimble or you can take a barrel. And so the companies that we partner with, although you may not recognize 5 Links, are companies that you are familiar with. AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile, Sprint, Nextel, GE, DirecTV, Dish Network, Comcast, Xfinity, Cox, Cablevision, Optonline, Blue Cross Blue Shield, and about a dozen other companies. Here's why you've heard of those companies. Not because they're necessarily the best at what they do, but they're the best at marketing. You see them on TV, you see them on billboards, you see them on the side of the bus, you see them in direct mail, you hear them on the radio. But here's my question. When was the last time you were standing at the bus stop, you saw a bus drive by with a Sprint commercial, and you chased the bus down before it drove off into the distance because you had to make a phone call before you tripped over the curb? When has that happened? Never or never? Never, right? We all know that when a commercial comes on, you're watching TV, it's your permission to get up and go to the bathroom. It's your permission to put your dish in the sink, or to freshen up your lemonade, or to check your text messages, or to check on the babies. We don't sit around and watch the commercials. Statistically, the only time that we do is during the Super Bowl. So now here it is, these major corporations are spending millions of dollars to bring you expensive advertising, and it's not working. Well, in 2004, everything changed. A snotty-nosed kid drops out of Harvard University, starts a social media experiment called Facebook, becomes a billionaire in less than a decade. How did he do it? Social media and word of mouth. And so big business goes, wait a minute, we're doing something wrong. If he could become a billionaire with no commercial advertising, we need to stop throwing these millions of dollars away and use social media. But we need a company that we could partner with. Who can we find? Who can we find? Hey, I got an idea. Why don't we go to the Better Business Bureau and look for an A+ credit rated company? Why don't we check with the Federal Trade Commission and find a company that's in good standing? Why don't we find the #1 customer acquisition company in these here United States? Why don't we find a company that's appeared in MSNBC News, Wall Street Journal, 4 times in Success from Home magazine, 5 times from Your Business at Home magazine? Who is it that we could find that has been in the Inc. 500, 5,000 9 consecutive times? Somebody in the back, maybe the janitor, maybe the secretary, maybe somebody who is not in the know, says, try 5 Links Enterprises. And so we partner with all these companies because nobody does it better. We agreed to get them all the customers that they wanted for free. Why free? 3 reasons. Number 1, they save millions of dollars on advertising. Number 2, by virtue of the fact that they save this money, now the rates fall dramatically. They could pass the savings back to the consumer. So the consumer saves. Number 3, they agree to pay us 50 cents to $11 for every bill, for every customer that we shuttle over for the life of that customer. Let me tell you how this worked for me. So here I am, I'm a New Yorker. I don't believe nobody. I don't trust nobody. I don't even like nobody. My wife can't answer the front door. My children can't answer the front door. Don't come to my house to ask me for sugar. The supermarket is down the hill to the right. So naturally, we've all been taught if it sounds too good to be true, normally it is. The 2 reasons that compelled me to take a step further was number 1, my friend who I loved, trusted, admired, and respected. And number 2, the preliminary research. When Inc. 500 tells me that this company has broken a number of records, even over the companies that I've worked for or been laid off from, that speaks volumes. And so I said, okay, maybe I should test drive it. After all, I had been secretly praying for some financial relief. And truth be told, if you are willing to be transparent, the reason why many of you are on the call today is because you've been secretly praying for some financial relief. And since heaven decided to send you this kind of blessing, don't be like me and try to look a gift horse in the mouth. God, this right here, this thing right here, yeah, this thing right here. Take it upon yourself to go through the rest of the investigatory process. So here's what I decided to do. Get started. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a first step. And so I decided, since I wanted something different, I had to do something different. And so the first thing I did, because I do have a little bit of a reputation, I didn't want to spoil it by running off at the mouth and telling everybody how much they were going to save. I wanted to test drive it. I wanted to kick the tires. I wanted to drive it around the block a couple times. So I got started, switched over to services in my own house. Do you know I started saving close to $200 a month? I switched from name brand companies to other name brand companies and started saving close to $200. Now, do you remember when Mama used to say, a penny saved is a penny earned? Remember that? I just gave myself a $200 a month raise. When was the last time somebody gave you freely a $200 a month raise? A month. So for me, that's $2,400 a year. $2,400 a year. You don't have to. Some of us at home, we got these jars. And every time we break a dollar, we put money in the jar, hoping to save up a few coins so that by the end of the year, we could buy the kids a few things for Christmas, right? I just gave myself a $2,400 raise, a year raise, without doing much of anything except switching my services over. And at the end of the month, they gave me a check, 50 cents to $11 for all of the bills that I was going to pay anyway. So first, I'm saving substantially, and I get paid to save? Where they do that at? At that point, you better believe I became a champion for this business. And I told all my friends and family members, because we do not set up booths at the mall. We do not go door to door. We simply have a conversation with the people we've always communicated with. Our friends, family members, business associates, and colleagues. Here's exactly what I said. If I could show you a way to save a few $1,000s a year on the services you use every day, would you want me to tell you? Do you know what the majority of them said? Yes! At that point, I would simply send them to my website. They would choose the service that they wanted. They would choose the provider that they wanted. They would choose the promotional discounted rate that they wanted. And every time they turned the light on, or flushed the toilet, or took a shower, or cooked a meal, or washed the dish, or opened the fridge, or used the microwave, watched TV, surfed the internet, make a phone call, or send a text, I was getting paid. I said, this is bananas. Something happened that I didn't anticipate. Do you know what people do when something great happens to them? They share it with other people. So my happy customers were telling their friends about how their friends could become happy customers, and they would send their friends to my website who would choose the service that they wanted, the provider that they wanted, the promotional discounted rate that they wanted, and every time they paid their bills, I'd get paid. So I thought, this is absolutely awesome. I could feel now how Mark Zuckerberg, who started Facebook, must have felt when he went from 0 to 100,000, 100,000 to a million, million to 2 million, 2 million to 50 to 100 to $1 billion. He must have felt this way. The challenge for me is I wanted to get paid on hundreds of thousands of people. I just didn't know hundreds of thousands of people. How many of you guys know hundreds of thousands of people? But I do understand we're all 6 degrees separated. If you go on your Facebook page and you identify one of the friends that you helped get on Facebook, if you look at the amount of friends that they have, they know hundreds, if not thousands of people that you don't know. You know what that means? Those people are in your network. Let's monetize it. So I went back to my happy customers. They were also delighted with the savings. And I asked them a different question. I asked, if I found something that we could do together to make some money, would you want me to tell you? I went through 422 people in my first 30 days. 21 got started in my first 30 days. A bunch got started in my second 30 days. A bunch got started in my third 30 days. The first 21 made a substantial difference because I didn't know I was going to make that kind of money. They paid me a handsome 5 figures in my first 30 days. And now 2.5 years later, I have over 425 income streams. I get paid in over 20 states, in multiple time zones, and 3 international currencies. All because I had the courage to ask someone else, if I found something we could do together to make some money, would you want me to tell you? I got to tell you, I didn't anticipate that this would change my life to such a degree. Today, the friends that I have now are some of the best friends I've ever had in my life. Yeah. You're talking about friends that sticketh closer than a brother. If you don't have friends that stick closer than a brother, then you ain't got friends. My friends come and see about me. My friends make sure my family is fed. My friends make sure my bills are paid. And my friends are making sure that I get to financial independence, hook or crook. I'm going to introduce you to one of those friends, because this guy, when I first met him, he was already super successful. He was a corporate attorney for Black Entertainment Television. You know, Donnie Simpson and Spring Bling. You know what I'm talking about. He was also responsible for inking the largest deal in the history of TV media, which helped Bob Johnson, the owner of BET, become one of the 6 African-American billionaires on the planet. He had his own law practice, a title company, 2 restaurants, 13 properties, and still couldn't figure out a way to make $1 million. He gets in this business, in less than 90 days, makes a substantial 6-figure income, blows past every record in our company, ascends to a position called Platinum Senior Vice President. They award him a Bentley because of it, and he makes his first 7 figures in 3 years. What? I'm excited to have friends like that, because if I have never made $1 million, I can't teach you how to make $1 million. So I run with people who have earned millions, because if I learn what he knows and do what he does, I will ultimately have what he has. My name is National Director Ray Hendrickson for the awesome and incredible Team TNT. I'm going to turn the call over to somebody that I have a tremendous amount of respect for, because he knows 100% of what it takes to succeed in business. He's had exponential, record-breaking success in a very abbreviated amount of time, and he's made all $1.5 million of his dollars helping people just like you and I create above average income. And if you could tell by the smile that is cemented to his cheeks, he is having a world-class time. It should be illegal to make the kind of money he makes and have the fun he enjoys. Without any further ado, it is my esteemed honor to introduce to some and present to others the wealthiest person you'll meet in this calendar year, Platinum Senior Vice President, soon to be double platinum, Thomas the Maestro Felder.
That's some good stuff. You know, I hope all of you that are tuning in from work or wherever you tuning in from appreciate this. Because what manner of man is this that gives up this kind of energy, this kind of passion, this kind of education and information and inspiration to people he's never met? I mean, this is almost otherworldly. Y'all going to see superheroes at the movie theater, you should go see Ray Hendrickson. You know, that should be the sequel. The Return of Ray Hendrickson. Ray Hendrickson Strikes Back. I'm telling you, I'm excited. I'm more excited than a little bit. And I'm grateful for all of you today. Today is Freedom Friday. Freedom Friday. Let me tell you something. When they put Harriet Tubman's picture on the $20 bill, that means that freedom is in season. You know, like they say duck season or rabbit season, it's freedom season. It's time for all of us to get a taste of freedom. And I want to tell you that my mother told me a lot of things about how to win. My mother told me that you got to be willing to push through the pain if you want to win. You got to develop the will or the desire to even want to win. You got to do that. And you got to determine at the outset that you'll never give up. I've been married 18 years, and Lord willing, if my wife is around for another 18 or 20 or 50 or whatever, I'll still be married to her until she's no longer here or I'm no longer here. I just made the commitment. At the very outset of my relationship, I said, come what may, come hell or high water, I'm in. And I'm grateful for that. Is she perfect? Probably. Me, I got the flaws. But I'm here and I'm going to stick and stay no matter what. You got to learn commitment. That's what my mama told me. If you want to be successful at anything, the gym, you got to be committed. You can't go in there for 5 months with a Twinkie in one hand and a pizza in the other and blame it on the gym. You don't go sue Gold's Gym when the fault is yours. You got to take some responsibility. You are a big person. You're a man or you're a woman, and nobody's putting a diaper on you. At some point, you got to sort of man up, ante up, you know, gird up your loins. I think now is a good time as any, because we got some rough financial times ahead of us. And I don't know who's going to win the election, but it seems like all of the people who are left running, none of them have you on their mind. You're going to be a casualty of whoever is elected. So let's get a plan together. And you better prepare right now, like my mama said, to be immune to exhaustion. Now's not the time to get tired. You know, it's amazing that people can work forever for somebody else and go to school for 900 years and get multiple degrees, have more degrees than 2 thermometers. And then when it comes to doing something for themselves, all of a sudden they tuck it out. All of a sudden they're exhausted. I mean, this ain't the time to get tired. Get sick and tired of your job, but not running for freedom. Don't fall asleep on this. There ain't no sleeping here. But you got to learn dedication, and you got to learn hard work. It can't be that the only people who know dedication and hard work are people who are born outside the United States. It can't just be people who came from the Caribbean or from the Philippines or from Haiti or from Africa. Is there anybody here from America born here, like your parents and your grandparents born here from the Carolinas or in Philadelphia? Somebody who's a 5th generation freed slave in America who got some good work ethic? Do we stand alone? Are you out there somewhere? Because, I mean, we getting a bad rap. We've been getting a bad rap for a long time. That if we don't like curry and something else, that we just sort of slackers. Let's change that, man. Let's change that sort of paradigm when it comes to us. Let people start saying, you American? You African American? Let people sort of, rise up and have some pride in that. Just for a minute. But my mother also told me that you got to live with purpose. And you got to make helping other people your greatest accomplishment. My mom tells me a lot of good things, and she says that when you start to help other people, heaven sort of comes to your aid. When you give away your money to other people who are in need, heaven sort of comes to make a deposit into your little bank account. That's the way heaven works. If you keep your hands closed and nothing comes out of your hand because you don't want to help somebody because you're so selfish, guess what? Heaven can't put anything in either. That tight hand gets nothing in, even though it gets nothing, sends nothing out. So I'm telling y'all, you really got to sort of work towards helping other people. Now, we got a special call going on today. Ray Hendrickson left me some time. It's Freedom Friday. And I want to talk to y'all about how to make $200,000 in this business. Yeah, I'm not going to be sort of mamby-pamby about it. I'm going to give you a real system and a real formula. And y'all might want to take some notes. I mean, he's giving you inspiration and motivation. Let me give you some education and some system so you can make it. Is that all right? So I'm going to go to the board today. I'm going to use a little bit of time that I have on the board, and we're going to talk about how to make $200,000 a year in 5 links. It's simple. It's a system. The question is whether or not you're willing to follow it. All right? So Ray Hendrickson, maybe you can help me out. Maybe
Yes,
I'll... Okay, you got me?
Yes, sir.
All right, you got me covered? Always good to have a good friend nearby. All right, so I'm going to the board. I'm going to take the red marker and go to the whiteboard. Hold up for me. All right, so we're going to the board today, and I want to give you a surefire formula on how to make $200,000 a year working from home. I know nobody's ever told you how to do that. Nobody's ever told you how to make 6 figures working on a job. But I'm going to teach you how to do it while you're downstairs at your kitchen table, while you're sitting on your beach patio, while you're sitting by the edge of the pool. I'm going to show you how to make $200,000 a year. Now, just like school, this takes time, right? You remember when you got that high school degree, took you 4 years? Took some time. Remember you got that college degree? Took some time, 4 years, right? When you got that master's and that associate's, it took some time. When you got that PhD, it took some time. You got all of those degrees, it took you all of those years, and you're not making $200,000 a year. So let's just give it some time. Fair enough? I just want to start out. I'm going to tell you this is a 4-year proposition. How many years? 4-year proposition. And I know a lot of times y'all like school, so I got to make it like school stuff. Let me see. How do I make it like school? Hold on. I'm going to find a piece of paper. Hang on. I know y'all like school, so I'm going to make it school-like so y'all can feel like you in school, right? So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make you fill out an application because y'all used to applications. Application, right? So I want to make, because if I make it too easy, you'll think it's a scam. So yes, I need an application from you, all right? And it's got to cost something. Because if I told you it was free, you say it's a scam. You're used to paying for stuff and getting nothing, but I'm going to make you pay and give you something, right? So what does it cost to get started? There is a fee. It will cost you just about $300 to get started properly in my business. Is that fair? Compare my $300 to your $100,000 bachelor's that you can't figure out what to do with it. Is that all right? So $300, give or take, to get into the business. And then you got to take some classes. Right? Y'all like classes? I got classes for you. Right? So these classes, you can take them online, you can take them from home, and you can graduate in 3 hours. Nope, not 3 years. You can graduate in 3 hours. You got to take the classes. Is that all right? 3 hours as part of the process to learn the business. The next thing that you have to do is you got to do some work. There is real work in our business. I know that I'm on the sort of side of the business where I kind of put some time in, but there's still work. We don't get up and do nothing, right? We work these 35 minutes to 2 hours every day real hard, right? So there's work to be done, right? All right, so let's go through what it takes. Oh, by the way, I'm going to give you a diploma when you're finished. You know, the diploma that you have is not worth anything. It's not even worth as much as toilet paper. And you paid $100,000 for a piece of cotton paper in fake leather. That's what you paid for. And they slap your school's thing on the outside, and then you had your family come over and watch you graduate from it, and then y'all had a big party, and then you sit around trying to figure out how to get a job. I'm not going to say something, but I got a nephew. My nephew graduated, and his graduation, his diploma cost a bunch of money, and he's frustrated, he's full of anxiety, because he went on 3 job interviews, and he hasn't gotten a job yet. I said, 3 job interviews? I said, bro, there are people that I know that have been looking for a job for 30 years in their field of study. 3 job interviews. I said, you got some growing up to do. So when y'all are finished, we're going to give you not just a diploma, right? Because y'all are used to the diploma. This is what we're going to give you. Is that all right? We're going to give you a BMW. How's that for a perk? You like a BMW perk? Right? So I'm working on getting my i8 right now. BMW. We're going to give you a Bentley. Right? I've already had my first BMW. I'm working on my i8 now. We're going on the second round. And then y'all have already seen the Bentley. It's out there. All right? So the BMW, the Bentley, what else can we give them? Free trips around the world for you and your significant other. Right? We're going to give you stock options. I'm running out of space on my diploma. We're going to give you stock options. We're going to give you expensive jewelry for those of y'all who like expensive jewelry. But can I tell you the best thing that we give you is this. We give you time. This is priceless. Time is the one commodity and asset that is irredeemable. We can't replace it. And when it's gone, it's gone. Time. Right? So that's just some of the things we give you. Now let's go through the formula quickly. To make $200,000 a year, give yourself at least 4 years in this business. Unless you can't sleep like me. Right? Or unless you got an emergency or you're desperate. I was desperate. So people ask me how I did it. I was desperate. If you're desperate, then you can cut this time in half. Desperate. If you're willing to do what nobody else is willing to do, desperate, you can cut it in half. If you're willing to talk to people who you know who don't like you and stay up late and get up early, this 4 years is a piece of cake. All right? So here's the formula to make $200,000 a year from home. And that means that we have to make $4,000 a week. And you can do 20 Touch Suite orders a week. 20 Touch Suite orders a week. What is Touch Suite? Those are credit card processing orders, and we get paid approximately $200 for each order. And I love this because $1 trillion worth of these machines are going to be sold between now and Christmas. Everybody in the country is looking for them because they need the new EMV chip readers. And if you walk down any store in America, you went to 10 stores, 3 of them will have the machine, 7 won't. Right? 7 stores are looking for them. Do 20 a week. Do 20 a week. You're looking at $4,000 a week. All right? Then you got to build and support your business. We do something called PBRs, which stand for private business receptions, right? Or home meetings. If you want to do $200,000 a year, expect to do 6 of those a week. Right? It doesn't necessarily have to be at your house. It could be at a Starbucks or Panera Bread or whatever else. But expect to do 6 of those a week, right? We're talking about $200,000. This ain't chump change, y'all. This is some real money. You can squeeze this schedule in on 2 hours a day. So the next thing you want to do is get 8 appointments per week. 8 appointments. So you really want to go and talk to a business owner, and the appointment doesn't have to be in person. It could be on the phone. It could be on the internet. I love Google Chat, Google Voice, Google whatever that thing is when you watch. What is it?
Plus.
Google Plus, when you're looking at them on the internet. I love that. And just 8 appointments. 8 times when you really set an appointment in a calendar.
And then you want to do 40 calls, emails, or text messages where you can confirm contact. 40. Right? Don't shortcut the 40. It doesn't mean that 40 times you're going to send an email and you're going to talk to the person, but 40 times you'll send an email or a text message or an inbox and the person says, I got it. I got it. Not the ones that you can't tell that they opened it or saw it. You need 40 actual confirmed contacts. Then you need 24 calls, emails, or text messages. You got to send them out, fresh ones, 6 days a week. And you got to send those out with the right script. The right script. What I love about this business is you can just be a robot and cut and paste your way to $200,000. You can cut and paste. And you don't even have to talk to them. I know some of y'all are too scared to talk to people. You don't know what to say. But what if you had a script? What if you had the exact words that people are looking for? The exact trigger words that when you put them out there to somebody, they will respond affirmatively. Do you think a script matters? You think you look at some of these actors, you take away their script, Tom Cruise would be a bumbling idiot. I'm just saying, he needs a script. And in this business, a script makes the difference, right? And so our script gives you a system, and system means save yourself stress, time, energy, and money. System. So what if I gave you some scripts and I told you that the scripts cost you $5,000, but I can guarantee that these scripts, if you use them properly and you work at this business, it'll get you up to $200,000 a year. Who would pay the $5,000? I would. I paid every day of the week. What if I told you it was $4,000? Would you get it then? $3,000? $2,000? I can see somebody right now saying, man, I don't care if it was $1, I wouldn't get it. I just want it free. Don't you know that you get out, you get back what you put out? Some of y'all don't put out any energy and no energy comes back to you. Some of y'all don't put out no money and no money comes back to you. You want to gain the world, but you don't want to pay the price. Don't you know in corporate America, we always try to spend 10% of our anticipated income in learning and education? That's how we did it. If I wanted to make $100,000 this year, I knew I was going to spend $10,000 in education and sort of motivation and training. We got to become better to make more. Some of y'all ain't ready to make $1 million because you got a $5 work ethic, right? So here's the deal. We'll give you the system. We'll give you the system for $20. $20. Bananas. $20, and I will give you the scripts that you can use, and I will teach you how to do it, and you can watch me do it live. Well, it's recorded now, but you can watch me do it. It's $20. And I do a money-back guarantee. That's how good my stuff is. I put time into it like that. It is 3 hours and 40 minutes long. I pushed it out 5 days ago or 7 days ago, and it was due to expire. But an elderly woman, a senior, seasoned woman, I better be careful, she's probably watching. A senior seasoned woman asked me for 7 more days. So her blessing is your blessing. So if you want it, if you want the webinar, it's $20. Text me or email me. I don't normally sell stuff, but I figured I'd share this with y'all today. Just text me or email me. Here's my phone number. Just text me. Tell me you want it. It's 202-409-4456. Or you can email me at run2diamond@gmail.com. Normally, I also give you guys a video where you can watch a presentation so you can see a broad scope of what we do in the business. And you can go to www.5linkspaysme.com. www.5linkspaysme.com. Listen, I'm just about out of time, but I want to do something special for y'all today. Today is Friday. Today is Freedom Friday. And today is not just Freedom Friday. Today is the preparation day. And I tell y'all about it every week. Y'all can reach me Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and you can reach me on Sunday. On Saturday, I'm unavailable. I keep the Sabbath. And I always tell y'all about it so you will know what it is. I never want some point in your life to come and you don't know why it's so important and why I'm unavailable. It's not because of me. I do it because there is a commandment. It's in the Bible. Trust me, I don't have a personal Sabbath. You can find it in Exodus 20, verses 8 through 11. So I want you to look at it. That's why I'm unavailable at national events every Saturday. That's why I don't do training on Saturday. That's why I don't do calls on Saturday. It's not because I don't like y'all, right? I'm going by a thus saith the Lord. You can find it in Genesis chapter 2, verses 2 and 3. So the Sabbath is not just for Jewish people. It was for everybody. When God made it, there was no Jew. There was no Abraham. There was no Israel. It was just him, Adam, and Eve. Is that all right? Matter of fact, he made it even before Adam showed up. I normally don't show y'all books, but I'm going to show you 5 books today that mean the world to me, and hopefully they'll mean the world to you and can advance the ball. I know most people don't read. The average person only reads 5 books from the time they graduate from high school to the time they die. But if you only had to read 5, I'm going to show you 5 that I like. Is that fair? Come on over. All right, so the first one is the most important. This is the Bible. I know a lot of y'all got apps at home, but I'm telling you, pick up a real Bible with real paper, feel it in your fingers, read it with your stuff, take notes in it, write in it. I write in my Bible like, what was that guy from A Beautiful Mind? I write in my stuff. Get a real Bible, right? And read it. Read it with your children. Read it with your spouse. Everybody want to learn how to be rich, but the Bible says that the beginning of wisdom is fearing God. You want everything? Go to God. He'll give you what you need when you need it. He'll make you smart. He'll make you beautiful. He'll make you healthy, send you a good person, and sort of bring people into your business. Put God first. I owe that to him. I don't care if y'all offended. I'm okay with that. I ain't got no boss. You can't fire me. This is my book. It has sold tens of thousands of copies. It is probably the bestseller that you're ever going to read on how to become successful in this business. I know they sold out everywhere on the internet, but you can still get an e-copy or audio copy. It's called Redefining the American Dream. Awesome. Now, I'm talking to y'all about how to do this business from home, and this is probably the best book I have ever read on how to do this business over the telephone. These same principles, you can apply those to the internet. You can apply these principles to Facebook. The guy who was making $50 million a year on Wall Street, he was considered to be one of the best salesmen ever on Wall Street, said everything he knew he learned from this book. Is that good? That good? I'm a reader. I'm a reader. All right, so those of you who asked me about the Sabbath thing, here's a good book. You can find it on the internet by Carly Haynes. All right, it's called From Sabbath to Sunday. Right? Just want y'all to read it. At least know. If you decided it ain't for you and whatever, at least you know. At least know that you don't know that you don't know. And now this is one of my favorites. This is a book written by the world's first documented billionaire called J. Paul Getty. It's called How to Be Rich. And the funny thing about it is you can buy this book on Amazon for $3.50. And nobody buys the book. Isn't that incredible? The information is out there, but you got to sort of open the book. I love y'all to death. I spent a lot of time, but I got a lot of love to share. My name is Thomas Felder, and I'm here with my good friend, Ray Hendrickson. We're missing you, Mariko Turner. I look forward to seeing each of you on the beaches of the world. If not at the beach, at the bank, but more importantly than any beach or any bank, I look forward to seeing you guys at the gates of the kingdom. Oh, time out. Flag on the play. Flag on the play. Listen, I do a call every Saturday and Sunday morning at 6 a.m. That ain't for everybody. It ain't for everybody. It ain't for all of y'all. Most of y'all are asleep late. Most of y'all wake up afternoon on the weekend, I know. But I'm up on Saturday morning at 6 a.m. if you want to sort of go into real Bible study. I do Bible study. Not just that sort of David and Goliath or Daniel and the lion's den. We go deep. So you want to go deep? Come meet me here tomorrow at 6 a.m. I'll be waiting. Right? So that's flag on the play. Back to our regular scheduled programming. So I look forward to seeing you on the beaches or the bank, and if not the beach or the bank, at the gates of the kingdom. For what would it profit a man to gain the whole world and to lose his own soul? That's Mark 8:36. Until I meet you and greet you, walk with the King today and be a blessing. This call, this webinar, and whatever else you might be listening on is officially over.